Hi, my name is Natalie and I've been teaching and practicing Tantric meditations for the past 10 years, and I recently opened this YouTube channel where I talk about topics to do with meditation and sexuality and healing. Today I wanted to talk about the practice that a lot of men are doing these days. I've talked about it on my channel, and it's kind of a combination of edging and nofap and basically looking at the sexual energy in a different way, and then transforming our masturbation sessions into meditation sessions where we start to work with the sexual energy in a different way, so that instead of it being stuck in our genitals, it is actually spread throughout the whole body, and you can experience full body orgasms and multiple orgasms. And the orgasms are different than the regular ones because they are without ejaculation, so they are basically going up instead of down and out. But I feel like a lot of men are frustrated with this practice. Some of them start, and in the beginning, something amazing happens, but then it stops happening, or they stop practicing. And a lot of the times men will give up quite quickly. They might blame it on being addicted to orgasms, or they don't really get it, or they don't understand what they're supposed to do. And a lot of frustration, and a lot of men who are quitting after a very short time, which is understandable because it's very challenging to change the paradigm that you have about your sexuality and your penis and your sexual energy. And it's not easy, and it can be very confusing sometimes, and it might take a while to get there. You might need to explore it deeper in different ways. But I wanted to talk about that today because what I believe is the best way to start doing this work with your sexual energy, to approaching the tantric way of transmuting your sexual energy into life force energy so that you can feel better in life, so that you can be healthier, so you can be happier, is start where you are. And start where you are is very important to understand. And I recently talked to someone about this who was also dealing with the frustration of, like, I get it, I meditate, I work with the energy, I do yoga, I kind of understand everything up here, but then bringing it down to an actual practice is difficult. And then my recommendation to him and to anyone I talk to who wants to start doing this work, who really wants to, start practicing and getting into this whole new world of working with your sexual energy in a different way, is to start where you are. What does that mean, start where you are? It means take the masturbation practice or sessions that you already have with yourself. I know some men might lie about this, and it doesn't really matter the number of times you masturbate a week. So there's no judgment and there's no recommendation. Like, I don't really know how many times is good to masturbate. I guess it's however many times you feel like you should. But we want to take the existing sessions that we are doing with the sexual energy, the masturbation sessions, and we want to start implementing different techniques into the existing sessions. So again, it doesn't matter how many times you masturbate a week. There's no judgment and there's no right or wrong number of times. But when you do masturbate, at least one of those times every week, try and do it when you are adding the following things. And it's just a few things that you add. Otherwise, you're doing exactly the same thing that you are already doing. The point in the beginning of the practice is not to transmute the energy, it's not to experience internal orgasms, and it's not even to not ejaculate. Those are not the points of the practice. The points of the practice are to start feeling, paying attention, and working with the sexual energy, which is the sensations in the body when you start to get aroused in a different way. It's looking at it as life force energy, something that I want to maybe bring to all the parts of my body and not just keep it in the penis. So that would be the point of the practice, of the exercise. And another point would be to practice meditation, because meditation is one point focus on one thing for a long period of time. So some yogis might stare at a candle for hours and then get into these like trippy hallucinations. But for us Western people who don't really spend time looking at candles, that might not be the best work for us, the best practice for us. So we want to take the thing that we are already doing, maybe once a day, maybe every few days, and we want to turn that into the meditation practice where the focus of our mind is on the penis and the sexual energy and the sensations and the horniness that we are feeling. There is no difference between that or the candle in terms of practicing moving our focus and paying attention to one thing for a long time. But of course there are many differences, because a candle is something that is outside of us, sexual energy is inside of us, and it's learning how to feel the energy in our body in general. And we're doing that by, at first, paying attention and feeling and noticing and working with the sensation of the sexual energy in our sexual organs. Eventually, we want to feel all the different types of energy and work with the energy in our body, from the in outwards. So if we're experiencing something in our body, it's not immediately to go and look for a solution outside. It would be, first of all, follow the energy, follow the sensations. So here are a few things you can add to your existing masturbation sessions. You start where you are, and it's a few simple things that might not seem that big of a deal to add them to these sessions, but they are a big deal. And if you do this every time, you are going to feel a difference. You're going to understand yourself better. You're going to feel yourself a lot more, and you will be able to start following the energy in the body, and specifically the sexual energy in the body. So the first thing we want to add, I'm guessing everyone knows this already, but I'm going to say it anyway, is breath work. And it's not specific breaths. It doesn't really matter at first what kind of breathing techniques you are doing. It's about implementing the breathing techniques in the masturbation sessions. So we are kind of combining the two worlds, which are actually one world, but a lot of people do breath work and they do it in retreats or group sessions. And most of the people that I know who do breath work don't do it at home by themselves, which I think is absurd, because the whole point of going to these retreats and going to these workshops and learning how to do breath work is to implement it in our day-to-day life as a useful tool to deal with the different emotions that we're experiencing, the different sensations, the energies that we're experiencing. The breath work helps us be more conscious, more present in the present moment. So many advantages of practicing breath work. Why not implement it in our sexuality? That is Tantra, basically. So, Tantra is a lot more than that, but that is the point where we are starting to dive into the world of Tantra. So breathing, the one that I teach at first is in from your mouth, out from your nose, inhale and exhale. But it's long, deep breaths. We're not in a rush. We're not in a hurry. This is what we're doing at the moment. We are doing a masturbation session, and we are meditating on the sensation of the sexual energy in the body. This is something holy, this is something healing, this is something very unique and special that we are doing. So we want to pay attention to our breath when we are doing it. And also, if we start taking very long, deep breaths in and out just in the beginning, it will relax our body, relax our nervous system, and it will allow us to kind of slowly, because at first when you do meditation, or even when you masturbate, your mind is very busy. You're still with a lot of thoughts in your head and the day that you've had and all these things that are bothering you. So in masturbation, men need porn in order to kind of ignite. Sometimes, not all men. I'm not for porn, by the way. If you cannot watch porn, don't watch porn. But I did do a video of, if you have to watch porn, then maybe watch it in a more tantric way. You can watch that video. And I was not trying to say that porn is good, but just a lot of people that's where they are. They don't want to watch porn. They would rather not watch porn, but they still keep on doing it every time. So we start where we are. So if you're watching porn, that's fine. But what I was trying to say is, like in the beginning of meditation, we have a lot of thoughts and busyness in our head, and it might take a few minutes of breathing, deep breathing, to kind of relax the mind, and then we start feeling the body. So the same thing happens with our sexual energy. It might be a little bit difficult at first to start the sexual energy going, which is why we need porn. Yes, we can use our imagination, but if we use porn, that's fine. Just turn it off once you get that full erection and the sexual energy is flowing in your body. And so in this practice, if we want to start working with the sexual energy, we want to implement the deep breaths. From the moment we touch our sexual organs, we start breathing. And some men have told me, like, how can I do two things at the same time? But it's not really doing two things, because you're breathing anyway. It's just take deep breaths so that you can start calming your mind and your body, and so that it brings your attention back to your body and to the energy and the sensations in your body. The second thing you can implement into your normal, regular masturbation sessions is paying attention to what's happening in your anus. Is it clenched or is it released? And I know this is weird, and not a lot of people pay attention to that area of the body because it's this taboo thing, but it's the root chakra, it's the first chakra, and if it's clenched, a lot of the times the sexual energy gets stuck and eventually has to come out in the ejaculation. But if we start releasing that area of the body, it will be easier for the sexual energy to start going up and spreading throughout our entire body, which is kind of what we want to experience. And the last thing I wanted to add to our regular masturbation sessions is, once you're done, whether you ejaculated or you didn't, you orgasm, you didn't, like, whenever you're done, whatever that means for you, but once you're done, do like 5 to 10 minutes of shavasana, which is just lying on your back, dead man's pose, and following the sensations in the body, following the energy in the body, and relaxing, like not moving at all for at least 5 minutes. I recommend you put some music in the background for this whole session. You don't have to, but for me, it really helps. And yeah, shavasana once you're done. And I also want to suggest that if you have you have sex in your life, do it then also. Like, once you're done, try with your partner just to lie on your back and do shavasana for 5 minutes and see what it does, see the difference. And you'll notice the difference by how you feel after the session. And you can compare sessions where you didn't do the dead man's pose to when you did, and you'll see that there is a big difference. That's my experience. I recommend you try it and see for yourself. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for all your amazing comments. And if you like this video, you're more than welcome to subscribe and to follow. And these are the kind of videos I upload quite often, so that's me. I also do online sessions around the emotional work and the mental work, inner work, emotional work around sexuality and relationships. So the details are below if you want to talk to me. And thank you again for listening, and I'll see you in my next video.